What's going on, guys? I'm giving away 3 battle passes every single video. All you guys have to do is like this video and comment your gamer tag down below. But I'm giving you guys the top 5 best meta loadouts in Warzone 2. And we're starting out with the ISO hemlock. Now make sure you guys watch this entire thing because the last loadout is actually a meta that's gone viral. So I put on the Harbinger D20 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking speed. Set the bullet velocity at 0.87 inches and the recoil smoothness to 0.54 ounces. By the way, with all these tunings, these are the best they can possibly be, so don't try to go over or it's actually going to hurt your performance more. Next, we put on the Fielder T50 for the damage range, bullet velocity, hipfire accuracy, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, and movement speed. Set the damage range to 0.17 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.15 pounds. Put on the MW2 for the precision sight. It's set to negative 1.65 inches. 45 round mag unless you think you can handle 20. If you can, be my guest, I don't recommend it. And last but not least, the 5.56 high velocity rounds. For bullet velocity at the cost of damage range, set the bullet velocity to 4.35 GR and the damage range to 0.27 Gs. Now this thing is so amazing, and the fact that I don't even really need to hold my thumbstick down is actually incredible. Now I'm going to show you guys what it's actually like to hold my thumbstick down, and you guys are just going to see it's not really even going to feel different. It's just such a low recoil weapon that, in my opinion, you don't even really need to do anything with it. This is the best overall assault rifle in Warzone 2 right now, and I don't think anything else actually compares, except one of the loadouts in this video. Now we're moving on to the Vaznev 9K, and this is the meta of all SMGs right now. So I put on the X10 RR40 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed and aiming stability. I set the bullet velocity at 0.39 inches and a recoil smoothness to negative 0.05 ounces. It actually increases the aim down sight speed. Now I put on the Kastov 381mm for damage range, hipfire accuracy, and bullet velocity at the cost of aim down sight speed and hip recoil control. Set the damage range to 0.15 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.34 pounds. If you don't have this on there, you're most likely going to lose a lot more gunfights, so make sure you have this barrel on there. It's essential. Next for the stock, I put on the broadside FCT for aiming stability, crouch movement speed, aim down sight speed, and sprint speed. At the cost of aim walking speed and recoil control, set the aiming out stability to 0.70 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 3.87 ounces. Put on the True Tack grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed, the cost of recoil control, and set the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.15 inches, recoil steadiness to 0.58 ounces. Put on a 45 round mag unless you think you can handle a 30. If you can, then just put on overpressured and you'll be good to go. Now here's the end product, and it's absolutely beautiful. Short range, medium range is beautiful. Long range, you're gonna have to burst fire, so be careful with that. That's the only downside with pretty much all SMGs in this game. The short range and medium range are elite, as you guys see, and it actually is possible to get the long range kills, but burst firing is kind of dangerous, and you kind of have to be a little more skilled to know when to burst fire and when to just get away, so be careful when doing that. Next, I'm showing you guys the Cronen squall, and this thing actually does rival the ISO hemlock. So I put on the Kastov DX90 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, recoil smoothness, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, aim walking speed, and aiming stability. I increased the bullet velocity at 0.52 inches and the recoil smoothness by 0.54 ounces. Now it's kind of funny, some people would actually expect me to use something different, like say the Echelon or the Polar Fire for the increased damage range. The Kastov actually focuses on bullet velocity, recoil smoothness, and recoil control, and with this thing being higher recoil than usual, this was the ideal choice for muzzle. Then I put on the HR 6.8 barrel for damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control, and hipfire accuracy at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, and movement speed. Now I set the damage range to 0.40 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.39 pounds. Put on the Commando foregrip as the underbarrel for aiming out stability and recoil stabilization at the cost of aim down sight speed. I basically didn't change the length, but I increased the recoil stabilization by 0.44 ounces. Put on a 50 round drum unless you think you can handle 30. I mean, if you can, feel free. Either way, it works pretty fine. I mean, you'll get more movement speed, aim down sight speed, reload quickness, and sprint to fire speed, so it's completely up to you, whichever one you want to use. But last but not least, I put on the MW2, set the far distance to negative 1.65 inches, and here's the final product. So this one is actually a little more risk for the reward, and I say this in the sense that it does have a little more recoil than the ISO hemlock. But this does hit incredibly hard, and in my opinion, if you get all the shots on point, then you're absolutely gonna shred. These two are very strong competitors, and either the ISO hemlock or the Cronen squall are fantastic metas for ARs to use. Next, we're moving on to the MP5, and this thing is honestly my baby. It's fantastic for movement and gets the job done close range. So I put on the Merc foregrip for hip fire accuracy, recoil steadiness, hip recoil control, and aim walking steadiness at the cost of hip walking speed and aim down sight speed. I set the aim down sight speed to negative 0.28 inches and the hip walking speed to negative 0.54 ounces. Move on to the VLK Laser 7 MW for aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed at the cost of laser being visible at ADS. I mean, who honestly cares? Set the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.23 ounces, and if you wanted to in the zeroing distance, feel free. I just didn't touch it. I put on the 40 round mag, unless you think you can handle 50. Then if you can, feel free. You're just going to have less movement speed, aim down sight speed, reload quickness, and sprint to fire speed, which I don't really recommend. I think 40 is more than enough. 9mm over pressured for target flinch. And I set the bullet velocity at 4.94 GR, the damage range of 0.45 Gs. Last but not least, the LM stockless mod for aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control at the cost of aiming recoil control, aiming stability, and flinch resistance. Now remember, this is a short to medium range build. If you want to be able to use this long range, change this to mirror recoil 56 factory stock. This will give you the long range potential. And just show you guys how amazing this is, short to medium range, this really does just get the job done. Now the only downside, like I said, is this build right here. It does not hang long range. It just does not get the job done. So unfortunately, you have to avoid the long range with this weapon. But the short to medium range is fantastic. And the beautiful thing on top of that is this thing has amazing movement. So you're gonna actually be able to fly around the enemies and get the job done very quickly. Now I told you guys there was gonna be a viral meta build in this video, and that is the Kastov 545. This thing is so insane, and so many people have been talking about it recently, so I had to give you guys the best possible build. So I put on the Harbinger D20 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking speed. I set the bullet velocity at 0.68 inches and the recoil smoothness to 0.77 ounces. I also put on the IG K30 406mm for the barrel, for the bullet velocity, recoil control, damage range, and hip fire accuracy at the cost of aim down sight speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control. I increased the damage range by 0.31 inches and the recoil steadiness by 0.18 pounds. Aim op V4, set the far distance to maxed out on the right. 45 round mag, unless you think you can handle 60, and you'll have less movement, aim down sight speed, reload quickness, and sprint to fire speed. Completely up to you. I mean, if you're using it as an AR, then maybe 60 is better, but I like 45. That's my choice. And then I put on the 5.45 high velocity rounds. For bullet velocity at the cost of damage range, I set the bullet velocity is 7.26 GR and the damage range of 0.23 Gs. Now, some people would actually choose overpressure just so they don't have that penalty of damage range. If you want to do that, feel free to do it. It actually may be more viable for you. I just like this as my choice. And the beautiful thing about this is I'm actually so surprised I haven't been using this. Like, it's just actually gets the job done so easily. The recoil is super low and the damage is super high along with the fire rate. So it just makes for an incredible AR build, and I think it'll get the job done easier than a lot of these ARs. Do I think that is better than the ISO Hemlock and Cronen? No. But since people like using it and want to try it out, this is the best possible build for you. I also want to show you guys my tacticals and perk packages just because I want you guys to be ahead of the game. I put on the stun, the throwing knife, and for the perk package, I use overkill, double time, fast hands, and high alert. Now, if I'm not using overkill, I use tracker. And tracker is so useful. Believe me, when you actually are able to see the enemy's footprints, if somebody's hiding in a corner and they just went there, you're gonna see their footprints. You can just catch them off guard, get the job done. Now, high alert is another beautiful thing. If somebody's behind you and aiming at you, you can literally just jump around, get the jump on them before they actually get the shots off on you.